Abba Yahuah, I just want to praise you and I just want to thank you, Father. I thank you for your Shabbat. I thank you what a privilege it is for us to be able to come into a place of truly understanding your ways and being faithful to your ways. And being able to come and know that your ways stand forever. And Father, what a privilege it is to be able to come to the revelation of the knowledge of the understanding of these tribes and what you are doing in this end times and how everything is being brought in together as one great love story. Something that you already started with me in 2008 when you said to me, my child, this is the greatest love story. And so, Abba, my Father, I just want to praise you and I just want to thank you, Father, that you alone are the one that is now expounding, that you have asked me to be able to release these tribes, to be able to teach on these tribes, to be able to release this message that we have been doing that will be almost a year. And we have laid a foundation and we have laid out a pattern, and now it's time for us to understand that this is part and parcel of a greater plan of what you're going to do. Because when the time comes of when we have a new Jerusalem, the only gates that there are that we're going to enter in through is not a gate of Christianity. It's not a gate of Catholicism or Protestant or evangelicals. The evangelicals. There are 12 gates. And those are the 12 gates that we are going to have to go through. It's going to be the gates of Gad and Naphtali and Asher and Simeon and Zebulun and Issachar and Dan and Benjamin and Joseph and Levi and Judah and Reuben. These are the gates. And those are the gates that we're going to have to go through, and there's going to be the tribes that are going to have to raise up, and we are all going to be able to come into a family house, and we're all part of a house, and the house is going to serve Yahushua, who will be on a throne. But people are making it about what? We have lost the plot and of what we're making it about, because it's all about a house. It's all about coming back into covenant, the covenant that was already put there from the beginning. Because from the beginning, Abba called forth a people. He called forth, started with Noah, and then from Noah he came down the bloodline of Shem, and then 10 generations later he came down the bloodline of Abraham. And so it has been a people that he is raising that came out of Shem, which means the name. And there was going to be a people that was going to be able to be a people that would be a people that would be able to raise up his name. And so, Father, I just want to praise you and I just want to thank you, because you are in the process of bringing forth a greater plan, a plan that we don't all have the fullness of the understanding. But as we're getting closer to the end, so your plan is being planned out. And you will have people in all the religions of this world. You will have people there in order to be able to speak and say, come back to the living Yah. Come back. Come back to the living Yah. And so, Abba, my Father, I just want to praise you and I just want to thank you, because everybody's been given an opportunity in order for knees to bow and hearts to be able to repent and to turn back from our wicked ways and come back to you. And the earth is going to shake and everything in it. And those who will be in you will shake into position to be able to become vessels that will carry your glory in a dark hour. And this is this house that you are bringing together, that you are gathering. And so, my Father, I praise and I thank you that you will speak to my mind and speak through my lips the very oracles that will come from your heart, Father. so that we can have the fullness of the revelation of the understanding of this end-time tribe of Manasseh, this end-time tribe that's Ephraim, Manasseh, that makes up this house of Joseph, because in the end, when there's going to be a gate, there's going to be a gate of Joseph, and this tribe will eventually become one house, one tribe of a people that will be able to serve you. And so, my Father, I praise and I thank you that you alone will be able to come and speak only that which you have for me to speak. In Yahushua's name, I pray this. Hallelujah. And so we are looking at this tribe of Manasseh. And we need to understand the tribe of Manasseh, and to understand that from the beginning, the Father has had a pattern, a plan. And yes, Joseph was greatly persecuted by his own brothers, who threw him in a pit, and he had to go through many things. But it was because the Father was going to raise him up as one that was going to become a deliverer for his people. And he was able to say, what the enemy meant for bad, that which you did to me, which was for bad, the Father had a plan in it, because through that there was going to come salvation. If he did not go through that, there would have been no salvation. So at the end of the day, because of that which they did, there came salvation. And so, my Father, I just want to... So we praise the Father. I praise the Father for what he did, because in that which he did, there was salvation that came upon mankind. And so it is, and so it will be in these last days, that we need to understand that there are going to be those that are going to have to raise up, that are going to have to bring deliverance to those that will be bound and kept captive. And the enemy has tried to destroy the seed. There is a seed that is raising up at the moment, that are supposed to be those that are going to bring deliverance, like a Joseph. But the enemy is wanting to take them out. So we need to raise above the things that would want to destroy us. So as we continue to look at Manasseh, as we looked at Ephraim, this is all part of an end time group of people. And the symbol for the house of Manasseh is a symbol of a palm tree, which is even the royal palm tree. Now, the palm tree is one of the most beautiful and well-loved trees in the world. There are more than 3,000 and between 3,000 and 4,000 species of the palm tree. But the royal palm tree is one of the most beautiful of all the palm trees. It's great. It's got its trunk resembles pillars that have been erected by the master architect, which is Abba Yahuah himself. And that's why in Psalm 92 verse 12, it says, the righteous shall flourish like a palm tree. So if we are these righteous people, we need to flourish like the palm tree. The palm tree that produces fruit is known for its ability to produce its best fruit in old age. So the more we are growing, the more we are getting deeper and deeper in our relationship with the Father, we should be bearing more and more fruit. So if people have been sitting in church for 30 years and 20 years and they're still not bearing fruit, then I have to ask you, what are they doing with their lives? Because we are supposed to be producing more fruit for the Father. The root of the palm tree is often the same length as the height of the tree. And the palm tree is known for several things. Palm trees grow mainly better in the desert, and it stands strong and tall and firm when the wind blows. So even when the wind blows, they stand strong and they stand firm. It's not like the rooipaitjie trees there on the farm where we stay. Their roots don't go deep. Their roots go to the side. So because they don't allow their roots to go deep, they are a tree that grows very quickly. And then their roots don't go deep into the soil. Their roots grow to the side. And that's why when these huge gusts of wind come along, the rooipaitjie trees fall over. Because they have no depth. They have not learned to be able to take the roots to go deep. It's because of its long roots that the tree has such great strength. That's why, because it takes time to let its roots go deep. You see, many of us want to be able to run and do great things for the Father without allowing our roots to go deep first. So the Father is first wanting to be able to make us become stable in Him. So when we are still like a little child and we're still young in the Father is first wanting to be able to get us to go deep in our roots, and He brings us out of the limelight and He brings us out of these things. But if people raise up too quickly, they will be destroyed because they didn't have roots that went deep. So when the tree grows too quickly, like our rooipaitjie, then when the wind comes, the roots did not go deep. The roots go to the side, and this is what happens with these people that raise up so quickly. Their roots are going in every direction, and they're busy with so many things, and their roots going everywhere, and they're not taking the time to allow their roots to go deep into the Father. And then they want to raise up very quickly. And they want to be seen, and they want to be heard, and they want to be known. But if we do that, and our roots have not gone deep in the Father, then the slightest gust of wind that's going to come along is going to want to take us out. And then we will shake. Because we do not have roots that have been made deep in secure in knowing who Abba Yahuah is. We have not been tested. We have not been tried. We have not been going through all those tests and those trials that has caused us to be able to go deeper and deeper in our faith in Him. Because every trial and every test that we go through, we overcome by the power of the blood and the word of our testimony. And those things are taking us deeper and deeper into our relationship with Him. And that is what happens with this tribe of Manasseh. They go through many trials and many tests, and that's what the Father was doing with Joseph. You see, when Joseph was first given the visions and given the dreams, you can be given visions and dreams and prophetic word from when you were small and when you were young, and it was all wonderful things you're going to do, just like Joseph. But he opened his mouth and told his brothers everything, and that caused them to hate him. And then he started going through the persecution because he didn't know how to be able to be silent and carry things in his heart. And so even though he had the great visions and the dreams that the Father had shown him, I think somewhere there was a little bit of arrogance and pride that came in with it. And you see, pride will come before a fall. And so Father takes us through these processes in order for us to be able to go deeper in our relationship with Him. And so there's many of us that want to raise up before the Father takes the roots deep. And then the slightest little bit of persecution that comes, the slightest test, the slightest trial, we don't know how to stand. Because we haven't taken the time to go deep. We haven't taken the time in order to be able to allow Him to take us into that deep place with Him. And that is why we've got to understand that the Father is wanting to make sure that He takes time for us to be able to take the roots to go deep. So when the storm comes, you see, when the storm comes with the palm tree, when the storm comes, the palm just learns to bend with the storm because it can bend in the direction of what the Father wants it to go. It bows to the Father. It bends and bends and bends. So it allows itself to go with the flow of the wind, and it doesn't allow itself to resist the wind. It goes with the wind of the Spirit. But there's a great danger too. The disadvantage to this is that sometimes it wants to bend when the devil makes it bend. And then it will start to bend to the devil. But there are times when Yahuah wants to make you bend and you don't want to bend. If we do not have the ability to be flexible in difficult situations, we will be broken by the storm. So listen carefully. If we do not allow ourselves to bend to the ways of the Father, if we do not allow ourselves to bend to the leading of the Ruach HaKodesh, when He wants to lead you in a direction that you do not want to go and you will resist Him, you will be broken by the storm. And there are many people that have not bent to the Father and His way in these times that we have had. And they are going to be broken in the days that are going to come ahead because they have not learned to submit and to surrender to the Father and to His way and to what the Father wanted and to the Father's leading. They are stubborn and they are rebellious. And the storm that's going to come is going to break them, because either we learn to bend to the Father or otherwise we will be broken to bend. The choice is ours. So if you are a true Manasseh, you will not crack up when the storm blows. And even though the devil will come and blow up real storms against you, but the Manasseh will still be standing tall when the storm is passed over. Because they have learned to stand and they have learned to bend. They have learned to allow their roots to go deep in their relationship with the Father, where they will not be moved by the gust of wind that will come, by the strongest storm that is going to rage around them. They will not be moved. Why? Because they have roots that have gone deep, and they have also learned to bend. Bend their knee and trust the Father in the midst of the storm. But if we do not do that, if we have not learned to bend our knee, we will feel the harshness of the storm. And the storm will eventually have to break us, to mold to what He wants. So the palm tree grows best in the heat of the desert. So even when it's in the desert, in the heat of the desert, so we are in the desert experiences, but when the heat comes, a true Manasseh will flourish all by himself without the help of many other believers that will come around him. They will just stand alone. Them, Abba Yahuah, and their Bible. And they will enjoy the presence of the Father. They are not those that have to run backwards and forwards to everything that is out there, that they're going to have to go and be part of everything that is out there. They're quite happy to be alone in their desert experience, and they will be going deeper and deeper with the Father. Because in the desert, they have learned to make an oasis for themselves. And therefore, they will be in this desert place, and they will formulate an oasis where many will come, and they will come and drink water from the oasis that they provide for them, with the palm trees and the shade and the water that they will provide. And sometimes it's difficult, because with these Manassehs, people will think that they are somewhat backslidden, because they're not integrated in all these things. But they don't need all these religious meetings and these religious things. They have learned to have their roots go deep. And they get water from the hidden sources of the Father's word that nourishes them, and they build their relationship with the Father in that place of the oasis. And so these branches of the leaves, the branches of the palm trees have leaves that sometimes grow 3 to 4 feet broad and 10 to 20 feet long. And some exceed a length of 50 feet. And in the Bible, they were used as a token of victory. Even when our Messiah was he came riding on the donkey, they were having to wave the palm branches, and they put those palm leaves on the floor. And it's the palm branches that they use in order to be able to make the sukkahs. It is a sign of victory. So every time a Manasseh looks at the symbol of his symbol on his banner, he is reminded that Abba Yahuah has given him the victory, because it is a symbol of victory. So even in the most hardest trials and tests that a Manasseh will go through, he will know that he's to be a palm tree that is going to have to stand in the storm, and his branches is the symbol of victory, which means he will receive the victory in that which he's going to have to go through. The gemstone of the Manasseh is an onyx, and many times it's black, but it is also it's very much almost like a granite kind of a stone. And the beautiful color, the most beautiful color of the granite that you get is when you get that fleshly pink. You get that fleshly pink. So it's not just black with strips of white and that in it, but you also get that fleshly pink granite. So the color of the stone for both tribes is the same, which can either be black or it can either be that fleshly pink color, that beautiful pink color. So when we have a look at the prophecies of Manasseh and of Ephraim, now we're going to have a look at the prophecies. Now we've already covered this prophecies in detail with Ephraim. I'm just going to go through it a bit with Manasseh's prophecy. We see that there's hidden mysteries, and in the prophecy of Manasseh and of Ephraim, you know, when Jacob blessed them, he did not separate them from Joseph. They were to be part of. So Joseph is the only one. He was the one that received the double portion, because none of the other tribes' children are named as being sons of Jacob. But Manasseh and Ephraim are seen as the sons of Jacob. So let us go read in Genesis chapter 48. In Genesis chapter 48, and let's first read from verses 5 and 6. And in Genesis 48 verses 5 and 6 it says, "And now your two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, who were born to you in the land of Mitzrayim, before I came to you in Mitzrayim, are mine. As Reuben and Simeon, they are mine." So, as when Reuben was born and when Simeon was born, Reuben was the first child, then came Simeon, then came Levi, then came Yahudah. He's saying, as Reuben and Simeon, Reuben was the firstborn, Simeon came after Reuben, just as they were, so is Ephraim and Manasseh. Your offspring whom you shall bring forth after them are yours, and let them be called by the name of their brothers in their inheritance. But to these two children, Jacob basically restored to Joseph what was stolen from him, the inheritance that was stolen from him for more than 20 years. It could have been 20 years or more than 20 years that he was separated from his father, from his brothers, from the inheritance that he would have received from his father. He was separated from that. And because of this, he gave him a double portion, because the name Joseph means added to. He added to Joseph. To Joseph he added the two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. Then, when we go and look from verses 13, and it says, and Joseph took them both, Ephraim with his right hand towards Israel's left hand. So Joseph took them both, Ephraim with his right hand towards Israel's left hand, and Manasseh with his left hand towards Israel's right hand, and brought them near him. And Israel stretched out his right hand and laid it on Ephraim's head, who was the younger, and his left hand on Manasseh's head, consciously directing his hands, for Manasseh was the firstborn. And he blessed Joseph and said, the Yahuah before whom my fathers Abraham and Yitzhak walked, the Yahuah who has fed me all my life long to this day, the messenger who has redeemed me from all evil, bless the youths, and let my name be called upon them, and the name of my fathers Abraham, Yitzhak, and let them increase to a multitude in the midst of the earth. So they are going to increase as a multitude in the midst of the earth, which is going to be what is going to be then the symbol of Manasseh. And even with Ephraim, with the symbol of Ephraim, that was part of the 12 tribes that was going to go into the dispersion of the nations. But we will also understand with Manasseh and the horns, that's also going to go into the uttermost parts of the earth. And when Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand on the head of Ephraim, it was evil in his eyes, and he took hold of his father's hand to remove it from the head of Ephraim to the head of Manasseh. And Joseph said to his father, not so, my father, for this one is the firstborn, but your right hand on his head. Put your right hand on his head. But his father refused and said, I know, my son, I know. He also becomes a people, and he also is great. And yet his younger brother is greater than he, and his seed is to become the completeness of the nations. So that is why from Ephraim is going to come the house of the 10 tribes, of the lost tribes of the house of Israel, because they are the ones that will become the completeness of the nations. And he blessed them on that day, saying, in you Israel shall bless, in you Israel shall bless, saying, Yahuah make you as Ephraim and as Manasseh. Thus he put Ephraim before Manasseh. And Israel said to Joseph, see, I'm dying, but Yahuah shall be with you and bring you back to the land of your fathers. So here we see that he blesses Ephraim above Manasseh. But Manasseh still has the blessing that is the fullness of the blessing. And there we will see that Manasseh as a tribe in himself became a bigger tribe than Ephraim. The only difference is because of out of Ephraim was going to raise up Jeroboam that was going to be given the 10 tribes. Ephraim was then going to be known as the tribe that was going to be the one that was going to be the representation of the 12 tribes of the house of Israel. So Abba was revealing that Ephraim would become more powerful and more influential than Manasseh, but both of them united together would be a blessing to the world. So understand, both of them together as the tribe of Joseph will be a blessing to the world. And so we understand that in Ephraim, that the 10 tribes broke off from the rest of Israel, separating 10 tribes from Judah and Benjamin. And that was then eventually where Jeroboam, that was an Ephraimite, and he was the one that was lifted up, that came up against King Solomon. Well, not King Solomon himself. He actually came up against Jeroboam. Against Rehoboam, King Solomon's son. And from there became the 10 tribes that then went north. So Manasseh must never ever be envious of Ephraim's greatness. For Manasseh has a greatness of his own, which comes from the strength of his deep roots in Abba Yahuah, and his ability to bend with the situation, that whatever situation that he finds himself in. So let us go and have a look at the prophecy of Joseph. So if we go, Jacob's prophecy over Joseph. So let's go look at Jacob's prophecy over Joseph. And we look at this in Genesis chapter 49, verses 22. And it says, Joseph is an offshoot of a fruit-bearing tree. An offshoot of a fruit-bearing tree. By a fountain, his branches run over a wall. So here we see Joseph is going to be an offshoot of a fruit-bearing tree. So Joseph will be fruitful, and he will come by a fountain, and whose branches run over the wall. Now, this branch is, the word branch in Hebrew is the word bath, which also means daughter. In this case, it is the plural and can be interpreted. Joseph is a fruitful, anointed son, even a fruitful son by a fountain of water, whose daughters run over the wall. Now, that is important to understand. Whose daughters run over the wall, because we are going to see that the daughters of Manasseh are going to be given an inheritance. And so that's why it's important for us to be able to understand that the daughters of Joseph, particularly those of the tribe of Manasseh, they will be fully getting an inheritance, because in the tribe of Manasseh, we are going to see how this has happened. And so it's amazing when we look at these blessings, and these were the blessings that were spoken, and how we see these blessings fulfilling in Scripture. How powerful is the Father that you actually see these things being fulfilled in Scripture. Because Joseph was an offshoot, and he was a fruit-bearing tree. He was going to be able to, what was Joseph going to do? From Joseph, he was able to be able to give food, supply, to those that came all around him. He rose up as a king. He rose up as the Pharaoh's right-hand man. Nothing was being done without Joseph in the land when it came to the famine. So yeah, when we look at this fountain, it is typical of the palm tree of Manasseh, who gets its source from the water from the hidden underground springs and fountains through his great long roots. That's why you will know where there's water. That's one of the things that you will know where there's water. Where there are palm trees, there is water. It's amazing, because when we were when we went to Saudi Arabia, and when we went to the place where the 12 wells are, where Jacob was in the valley, where there was the 12 wells. In those 12 wells, there were 70 palm trees where the wells were. So you see, where you see the palm trees, you will know that there is water. And so if you start to dig under the ground, you will know that there will be water, because you cannot see the water above. But the water will be there, because the roots of the palm tree can go so deep that they will be able to uncover the water that is there. And so it is with this tribe of Manasseh. They will give water because their roots go deep and they become this well that will be able to give the living water to those that will come around them, because they spend their time in the desert, and they spend their time, as they spend their time in intimacy with the Father, they are able to become a living water's fountain that is able to give water to those that will be in the desert themselves. They will be in the desert, but they will be a place, an oasis, where they can come and sit under the shade of their palm tree, and that they can come and drink from the fountains of the water that will be able to be dug out from the desert, because that where the palm tree is where the water will be. Then he says, and the archers had bitterly grieved him, shot at him, and hated him. So he was called, Joseph was called to be a fruit bearing. He will bear fruit, but there will be suffering. There will be a suffering that is going to come with it. So the archers, where it says, but his bow remained in his, but the archers have bitterly grieved him, shot at him, and hated him. So this reveals the suffering that Joseph has had to go through. This reveals the suffering that both Ephraim and Manasseh will have to go through. That word archers is the word chetz, and it means a piercer, an arrow, a wound, the shaft of a spear. It is the wounding and the suffering that Manasseh, it is through this wounding and the suffering that Manasseh becomes great. The same as Ephraim. Ephraim will have gone through all of the suffering, but through the suffering, remember, Manasseh though is the one that causes to forget. Because that was the name that was given to him. That he was given the name that is causing to forget. And that was the name that was given to him. And so he will forget the bitterness, the difficulty that he's had to go through. So this is not only true of Manasseh, but it's also true of Ephraim. Manasseh and Ephraim are united in their suffering, and so they are united in the resurrection of the glory that they will walk in. So have a look and see the scripture that's in Philippians 3 verse 10. It says, to know him and the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his suffering, being conformed to his death. So you see, what is it that we need to do? We need to remember what Paul has said when he said, what is the most important thing that we need to do? That I may know him, that we may know him. So what is it that we must do, even in our suffering and even in our pain? What is it that we've got to go through? What is the most important thing he wants? For us to be able to know him and the power, to know Yahushua and the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his suffering. So we are to, beloved, how are we not going to have suffering? We are to have the fellowship. When we are suffering, we are fellowshipping with him in that suffering that he himself went through, being conformed. When we fellowship with that suffering, we are being conformed to his death. No servant is greater than his master. So, those that are from the tribe of Manasseh and the tribe of Ephraim that are Joseph's are called to be united in suffering with Yahushua. They will be called to be in the suffering with Yahushua. And this is why those archers in the life of those that are of the tribe of Manasseh and Ephraim, that are those of Joseph, were their very own family. No one can hurt you like those of your own closest family. There's nothing worse than those that are closest to you, especially an actual family member that will hurt you. So those that carry that of Joseph, their own family members, will come up against him. They will be the archers. Those are the archers. So he talks about the archers, and those are the archers, have bitterly grieved him and shot at him and hated him. His own brothers hated him, and they shot at him with their own archers. So it's their own that comes up against them. So he says, but his bow remained in strength, So his bow remained in strength, and the arms of his hands were made strong by the hands of the mighty one of Yaakov. From there is the shepherd, the stone of Israel. So what do we see? We see that his trust and his faith. So the bow, his abode, so that bow that came, the bow that comes, his bow remained in strength. So he remains in strength, and his arm of his hands were made strong. So even though all of this that comes up against him, it's making him strong, it's making him raise up. So Manasseh and Ephraim stay grounded in Abba Yahuah. They have strength to be able to come and stand against the enemy, because Abba Yahuah promises that their hand would be made strong. He's the one who strengthens them even in the time of the destruction. And Manasseh, they are gifted with their hands to accomplish great tasks to which Yahuah calls them. So both Manasseh and Ephraim, they get called to do great tasks for the Father. These two tribes, or if you're from the tribe of Joseph, or from Ephraim, Manasseh, because at the end of the day, Manasseh and Ephraim make up the tribe of Joseph. So then we look and we see, and he says, from there is the shepherd, the stone of Israel. And who is the shepherd? Yahushua. He's the shepherd. Yahushua would raise up from Joseph as a suffering servant. So from the tribe of Joseph, Yahushua would raise up as the cornerstone and being the suffering servant. So as Judah has the conquering king, Joseph was the one that had the suffering servant. Interesting. Judah, the one that is able to dwell in the land, and Ephraim, the one that is not able to dwell in the land, because they are the ones that are going through the suffering, because they are the ones that have gone astray. They are the ones that have been broken off from their brothers. They're the one that, but yet the Father's going to raise them up and bring them back. So even by Abba Yahuah, he is the one who is going to be able to help this tribe, this Manasseh and Ephraim, because there's blessings of the deep that lays under the blessings of the breast and of the womb, because he says, from El of your Father who helps you, by the mighty who blesses you with blessings of the heavens above, the blessings of the deep that lays beneath, the blessings of the breasts of the womb. So here we see the Father is going to give them the blessings of the heavens, the blessings that comes from the deep of under the earth. These tribes will be blessed from that which comes from the heavens, will be blessed from that which comes from the earth. They will walk in physical blessings, and they will have the blessings of the womb. So Abba himself is the one that gives them the blessings. Then verse 26. So he says, the blessings of your father have excelled the blessings of my ancestors, up to the limit of the everlasting hills. They are on the head of Yosef. So here we see the blessings is on the head of Yosef. And they are on the head of Yosef, and on the crown of the head of him who was separated from his brothers. So here we see he has the blessings that is going to come, that he's got the riches of the world. He's got the gold that comes from the earth, from down under, the wealth that's going to come from the word. Even as he spends time with the Father, it's the riches that's going to come from the things that come from the ground, the things that come from the riches of the word, because the word has got many treasures that's given to them. And the blessings that comes from the womb, we must understand, is the blessings of the inheritance that the Father's going to give them. So even though they might be taken out of their land, but there is an inheritance of where they will return back to the land, and they will be given the inheritance because they will receive the inheritance. So when we look and we see that he talks about the crown, they are on the head of Joseph and on the crown of the head of him who was separated from his brothers. This is the crown that we see that even out of Joseph came Ephraim, and Ephraim, Jeroboam was an Ephraimite, and from there, and it's interesting because even Joshua was an Ephraimite, and Joshua was the leader that took over from Moses, and he was their leader. So the crown was given to the tribe of, because remember, whatever the blessing is of Yahuah Joseph is for both the sons. So it was given over Ephraim, and then again with Jeroboam that rose up. So we need to understand that even though he was separated, because it says the blessings of your father have excelled and the blessings of the ancestors up to the limit of the everlasting hills, they are on the head of Joseph and on the crown of the head of him who was separated from his brothers. So because of that he was separated. So this word separate actually is the word nasir, which means separated, consecrated, which is the exact same word used for a Nazarite. So Abba is calling the Josephs to a life of separation from the normal way of going about things. So they will be a set-apart remnant. They will be a set-apart people. They will be called to a life of holiness and separation, and they know how to pay the price for that. So to be separate means that it's a dedication, and it's not easy. But this is what the Father gives them the grace in order to be able to go through this. And this is where Joseph received the double portion. He received 2 portions. He received the double portion. He had the double portion because of the fact that he was separated from his brothers. Father gives him the double portion. So if we look at the prophecy now of Moses, let us go to Deuteronomy chapter 33. And in Deuteronomy chapter 33, we look at verses 13 to 17. And that's why I say, these are 2 very powerful tribes. Joseph is a very powerful tribe himself, because understanding, like I said to you, there's a place for this, because Judah is representing a house, but Ephraim, Joseph, is representing another house. So together they are the fullness of the house. So Judah is representing the house of Judah, which is made up of Judah and Benjamin. That is the house that comes out of Judah. That was split, that was ruled by Rehoboam. But then there's the house of Joseph that was made up of Ephraim. And Ephraim became, Jeroboam became the king of the 10 tribes. And then this was made up another house. And so the 2 houses, according to Ezekiel chapter 37, must become one house. And that is what we've got to understand. There's got to come one house out of this. And so let's just quickly look at Ezekiel chapter 37, so I can just quickly read this. So I did cover it when I mentioned when we did Ephraim, but I just want to hear where he says. So Ezekiel chapter 37 verses 16 and says, "And you, son of man, take a stick for yourself and write on it, for Yahudah and for the children of Israel, his companions. Then take another stick and write on it, for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel, his companions." So you see, there were 2 houses. There were 2 houses. There was Yahudah, that was the one house, and then there was, and Yahudah for the children of Israel and his companions. And then take another stick, and for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel, his companions. Then bring them together for yourself into one stick, and they shall become one in your hand. And when the children of your people speak, saying, won't you show us what you mean by these? Say to them, thus says the Master Yahuah, see, I'm taking the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel, his companions, and I shall give them unto him with the stick of Yehudah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in my hand. So, beloveds, wow, now there's a big storm outside here. Well, beloveds, let me tell you something. We have to understand something. Wow, isn't that amazing? That's lightning came exactly as I said, that this must be one house. This must be one house. This is the prophecy of what must happen. So what you see in the land of Israel today is not the fullness of the house. Because the house of Joseph, Ephraim, those tribes were scattered amongst the nations, and they must return. So there isn't the fullness of the house. So people that look at this and they think that it's the fullness of the house, it is not the fullness of the house. So let's look at Deuteronomy chapter 33 from verses 13 to 17. And Joseph, he said, blessed of Yahuah is his land, with the choicest of heavens, with dew and the deep lying beneath. So again, he gives him the blessing that's going to come from the precious things of the heavens. So just like the blessing that came from, from Jacob, where he was talking about he was going to be blessed from the heavens and he was going to be blessed from the earth. Here we see again, he's saying that he's got the blessings from blessed of the land, blessed of Yahuah is his land, with the choicest from the heavens, with the dew and the deep lying beneath. So we must understand that Abba Yahuah will visit the children of Joseph in exactly the same way that he visited, because he says, so let's see over here, he says, with the choicest fruit of the sun, with the choice yield of the months, with the finest of the ancient mountains, with the choicest of the everlasting hills, with the choicest of the earth, all that fills it, and the good pleasure of him who dwells in the bush. So, let it come on the head of Joseph, and on the crown of the head of him who was separate from his brothers. So, this is talking about the fact that he dwelt in the bush. So here we see that Moses was referring to his own visitation that he had from Abba Yahuah, and where he was visited by the burning bush. And because this word for bush is the word saneh. And it's the exact same word that is used in Exodus 3 verse 2, where it says that Abba Yahuah appeared to Moses in a flaming bush in the desert. So we have to understand that the Father is going to be able to come and reveal himself to the tribe of Manasseh and to this tribe of Manasseh, Ephraim, Joseph, just like he did in the burning bush. And then he turns around and he says, and his splendor is like the firstborn bull, and his horns are like the horns of a wild ox. With them he pushes the people to the ends of the earth. So if we have a look at this wild ox, that is very much I'm going to explain something that I have not explained before, and I've come to this revelation. So he will push them with the horns of this wild ox. he will push them to the ends of the earth. And this is where we see the tribe of Ephraim and the tribe of Manasseh. They will be the ones that will be pushed. All these, the people, like the 10 tribes, the 10 lost tribes, have gone right out into the ends of the earth. So then he turns around and he says, they are the 10,000s of Ephraim and they are the 10,000s of Manasseh. And so here we see that Ephraim is going to have the 10,000s, where Manasseh is only going to have the thousands, because at the end of the day, Ephraim, even though Ephraim in reality was the smallest tribe, but it was because of the fact that they were going to land up being a tribe that was going to be able to be a tribe that was going to make up the 10 tribes. Now, what I haven't shared in the last, as we are at the end, what I haven't shared with all the tribes, I'm going to share now. When you look at this ox, these tribes have been split into the four corners, where it's north, south, east, west. All of them making up the 4 faces of the living creatures. So in the west, you have Ephraim, Manasseh, and Benjamin. And the one that they represent is the ox. So Ephraim, Manasseh, and Benjamin are the tribe in the west, and they represent the ox. In the north, you have Dan, Asher, Naphtali. They represent the eagle. In the east, you have Judah, Issachar, Zebulun. They represent the lion. And in the south, you have Reuben, Simeon, and Gad. They represent the man. So here you will see that those that will come from the tribe, from these 3 tribes, the emblem that would normally be their emblem would be that of the ox, because of the fact, I'm not talking about the actual tribe itself, I'm talking about that which represents them. And I can go into this in a little bit more detail in another time. So we praise Abba for his revelation, and we will continue then on Thursday with this tribe of Ephraim of Manasseh, as we will close off and finish off this tribe. May Abba Yahuah bless you all. Shabbat Shalom.